Hey, 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 top of the morning to you. How are you doing today? This is Brian coming to you a little late this week. I've had a sore throat. I don't think it's COVID or anything, but it's just been continual, perpetual. I can sing without a problem, but when I sit down and try to read a story with my kids, I'm like coughing and hacking. I got my water here, so I think I can make it through. I'll try to get through this if we can. I'm not coughing yet. I'm not tickled yet, but who knows what's going to happen next. I'm here to talk about my 5 pillars: God, family, abundant life, adventure, and technology. And this is the middle of a book series. We are going through Atomic Habits. And today we're going to talk about chapter 3 of Atomic Habits. I got my notes over here, so you got to forget. Well, let me see. Yeah, I can do that. I'll lose my notes. Let's try this and be progressive. Yeah. Yeah, but then when I click on that, that'll go away and stuff like that. Oh well, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. So James Clear wrote this, Atomic Habits, Chapter 3. It's a really good perspective on life. If you haven't seen chapters 1 and 2, roll back in the doobly-doo and figure out where it is and get my thoughts on James' thoughts. James's thoughts? Well, anyway, he starts out chapter 3. It's how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. One of the first things that comes to mind when I hear simple is another word that is not equal. Easy. Simple does not equal easy. So many times I hear simple, I'm like, oh, it's so simple. It's easy. Well, simple could be putting eggs in an egg carton, one after the other, one after the other. And, oh, that might work. Let's try that. Putting those eggs in the egg carton is simple and easy, but if you have to keep doing that, it's not so easy anymore. So remember that when we talk about all this stuff that's simple, the simpleness is in what it is, and the ease is in having done it for a long time. It can become easy, but changing a habit, starting something new, isn't always easy. Repeating the right behaviors over and over and over and over and over, even though they're simple, may not be easy. It's simple to brush my teeth, but it takes creating that habit to make it automatic. And that's a lot about what Atomic Habits is about. That's about what I want to do in my life. I want to automate things that don't require emotion, don't require that human touch. He starts the chapter talking about Edward Thorndike, and he does a study of cats. And he puts them in a box and mazes and everything, tries to get out of the box by hitting the lever. But it's a simple phrase, but it's worth saying. This is a quote from Edward Thorndike. Behaviors followed by satisfying consequences tend to be repeated, and those that produce unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated. And that's important to wrap your head around. Let me say that again. Behaviors followed by satisfying consequences tend to be repeated. What is that level of satisfaction? And that's kind of my theme today, is what is that level of reward? What is that level of satisfaction that you're going to repeat and repeat and repeat and settle for, maybe? And he continues, and those that produce unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated. So whenever we run into a problem, we go out and solve it. And that's no big deal. We are problem-solving creatures. We have brains. We're created in the Lord's image to think through things and solve things. But when we hit repeated problems that happen and happen again and happen again, that's a time where it's time to bring in some automation, time to bring in a habit. If you run into that same problem over and over and over, and you keep repeating it, and you approach it new every time, you're probably wasting a lot of time and energy. I was reading a book of a friend of mine this week as well. Jamie J. wrote Quit Repeating Yourself. Repeated problems need a habit. Repeated problems need a delegation. Maybe you need to delegate that to somebody. Maybe you need a habit, something to make everything easier. And that's our goal. That is one of the lowest levels of satisfaction, or that reward. Behaviors followed by satisfying consequences is just avoiding something or making something easier, making it go away. We're all hunting for rewards. We're hunting for those good feelings, and we repeat things that give us those rewards. But sometimes I settle for little rewards when there are bigger ones available. I was talking to one of my girls this last week. We meet every week to kind of talk about, where are you? Where are you going? Where are you headed? And we have a big list. It's not a bucket list, but it's kind of like that, of things that would be cool to do. Things that would give some kind of reward to get done with. But yet, I don't even have my phone here. That's awesome. I see them on their phone doing this. Does that give a reward? Does that give a prize? Yes. Yuck. Yes, it does. It gives you a little prize. You saw something funny. It made you grin. But what about creating stained glass? What about blowing glass? What about maple syrup sapping like we're starting to do up here in Minnesota? All those other things. You got to look at everything you're doing. What are these habits that you have? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they little rewards blocking you from bigger rewards? James goes on in the chapter to say, with practice, the useless movements fade away and the useful actions get reinforced. That's a habit forming. The stuff that isn't very useful, it just goes away. And the stuff that is gets reinforced, it gets rebuilt. Behavioral scientist Jason Hira, I don't know how to say that, writes, habits are simply reliable solutions to recurring problems in our environment. Reliable solutions to recurring problems in our environment. If this happens, then that. How many times have you heard that? If this, then that. Automation is king. Think about it. Anytime you can automate something, it doesn't take as much energy. Every time this little thing decides something, it drains some of that decision energy away. And if we're deciding things all the time, this is draining all the time. If I can automate stuff so I don't think about it, I get up, I do my morning savers, silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing. I do that every day, kind of in that order. And then I go on to the next thing. I look at my journal, I start working on those main things. I start connecting with people. I start deciding, well, the last part of my scribing is deciding my goals for the day. What are my goals that are lined up with where I want to go? Automation is king. Delegation is empire. That's my quote. Automation is king. Delegation is empire. I spent so long in my company, running my company all alone, all by myself. I can do everything. I can do my taxes. I can do pay. I don't have to pay anybody because I'm just doing it all. And I can't grow. I'm capped out. Delegation is empire. Now I can grow. I've got an accountant. I've got attorneys. I've got a team across the world serving people and helping them. Delegation is empire. So recognizing these things, these automations, and if they're yours and they're personal and it's a habit thing, do it. Take care of it. If it's something that you need to do, make sure it's the right thing. And then delegation is empire. If it's in your company, if it's managing your vacations or planning a trip or whatnot, you can delegate a lot of that work to people who do that every day and have the automation for doing it. And they can give us what we want and save us our time. Our time is our most valuable commodity. The conscious mind is the bottleneck of the brain. That's from James Clear on page 46. The conscious mind is the bottleneck of the brain. When we start thinking about something, that's where that decision drain starts sucking away our brains, sucking away our decision energy for the day, and that's the bottleneck. When we have things automated, we have things set up, we know what we're doing, when we're doing it, and how we're doing it, it just flows. And it can be delegated to automation. Next quote from James: habits reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity so you can allocate your attention to other tasks. Oh, does that feel good? I don't have to decide. I have automated. I know what I am doing. I know when I am doing it. I know what time is free to do that. One of the challenges he discusses for a little while in the book is, oh, isn't things going to get dull? Aren't things going to get dull if we habitualize everything? Everything's a habit. Everything's automated. No way. Heck no. When things are automated that are important and priorities, like turning on the light switch, and we'll come back to that later down here, I think, like brushing our teeth, combing our hair, taking our shower, shaving every other day. This is a lot of shaving ground to go. If we have all these habits automated, when we're done with the important stuff, the bare essentials, or the growth essentials, reading my Bible. That's part of that quiet time in the morning. The reading and scribing on my morning savers. Thank you, morning savers, from Brian. I forgot. Sorry, Brian. Thank you, Brian, for the morning savers. Get that going. Habits reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity. Dullness. It's not dull. It opens up the rest of your time for freedom. The next quote from the book. The process of building a habit can be divided in 4 simple steps. Cue, craving, response, reward. Cue, craving, response, reward. Today we spend most of our time learning cues that predict secondary rewards like money, fame, power, status, praise and approval, love and friendship, and a sense of personal satisfaction. Today we spend most of our time learning cues. We just learn cues. That's the human experience. Those both were quotes from the book. That's the human experience. We're learning cues. We're learning cues. And cues may do nothing for you and do something for me, or vice versa. They're all different. What cues us up? If it doesn't go to a craving, it's not going to keep going down this habit cycle or this behavior cycle, because it's all a behavior cycle. It's a cue. Do I crave anything related to that cue? Yes. I'm going to respond to that, and I'm going to get a reward or avoid pain, depending on the scenario. Quote from the book, cravings differ from person to person. I may hear a football game, and yippee, I could care less. I know people, there's one down the road. He's got like 8 cars piled up in front of his house when there's a big football game going on, because that's a craving, and that fires him up. It brings those people together to party and have a good time and enjoy each other and enjoy the sport and enjoy the experience. So cue, craving, response, reward. If a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than you are willing to expend, then you won't do it. And that's key to looking at what are the rewards and not seeing the rewards and not being able to, not being willing to expend it, not being able to see that there's a small reward from flipping on my phone, and there's more effort to getting out some physical stuff and doing some crafts, doing some creating, doing some modeling, doing some drawing. This is too easy that we settle for that tiny reward. But this quote from the book is key. If a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than you're willing to expend, then you won't do it. What have you wasted all that brain-sucking energy decisions on that you're not willing to do it when you get to your time? Your time is the key to abundant life. That's my third pillar, abundant life. You need to guard your time by automating this stuff, getting this stuff out of your way, giving yourself that freedom that you have the mental and physical effort that you're willing to expend to do things that give you greater rewards. Next quote from the book. The cue is about noticing the reward. The craving is about wanting the reward, and the response is about obtaining the reward, the work, the action. We choose rewards because they serve 2 purposes. 1, they satisfy us, and 2, they teach us. And then it loops. We take that satisfaction, we take that learning, and we hit that cue again. craving, response, reward. Cue, craving, response, reward. Cue, craving, response, reward. Oh yeah, this gives me a little reward. I'll take it. I'll go down that path. I'll go down that path over and over and over because I get that little reward. Get out of yourself. Come up here and look down on little you, because you are bigger than you. You are created in God's image. You are a spiritual being. You have the ability to step out of yourself, look down at what rewards, what cue, craving, response, rewards are you taking that don't make sense, that steal from you, and break that loop. Break that loop. Get rid of those habits. Create new habits. Look at the rewards you want and find the responses, the cravings, and the cues you need to be recognizing. Look at the cues that send you down that little reward path and break them. Crush the craving. We'll come to that in just a second here. I got some images. I got some new screens. Check this out. This will be cool. He breaks that loop into two parts. The problem phase is the cue and the craving. We've got a problem. There's some ice cream, and I want it. And the solution phase. I'm going to get it, and I'm going to eat it, and it's going to taste good. Oh yeah, I'm going to get fat. Who knows? Getting good or avoiding pain. That's kind of the whole thing. That reward is avoiding pain, or it's getting something good. And automation is key. I don't know, light switch belonged way up there, but here it is in my notes. Light switch. It's a basic habit. You don't think about it. You don't decide to turn on the light. It's an automated habit. That's a great example, because think about all the things you need in life and automate those. Make them automagical. Make it so that it just happens, like turning on a light switch, like getting out my Bible and reading scriptures, like sitting down and meditating, like sitting down and doing my morning savers. Check out that book, Miracle Morning. That's a great way of chaining habits. That's atomic habits, little habits that stack on top of each other. Is it time to curate your automations? Are you accepting little rewards? All right, let me see if this works. Here's an image number one. Boom! How to create I can't see that, that's too small. Good habit. All right, yeah, perfect. How to create a good habit. And we got the cue, craving, response, reward. One, make the cue obvious. What do you want the cue to be? Make it really obvious so that it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to brush my teeth right before I go to bed. Make it attractive. Amplify it. Make it more attractive. Make the thing that cued you more attractive to you because you want that good habit. Make it easy. Make that response easy. And then make the reward satisfying. Get rid of those little rewards. Oh yeah, I enjoyed Facebook for 5 hours and I feel a little bit better than I did before. What about 5 hours of playing with your wife? Going out sailing or going out for a hike or snowshoeing or, oh, never mind. How to make a good habit. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. And some of these are fun. They just take a little effort and they take some savings because you had to make some other things easier for yourself so that you have that decision-making energy left. And along the same line, sometimes we need to break a habit. And I've been talking about that this whole time. Break those habits that give you tiny rewards. Find new habits that give you greater, and greater rewards. Or save you more and more time for those greater rewards. Image 2. Let's see if this switches to the right image. Yes, how to break a bad habit. Make it invisible. One of my colleagues is working on his diet and health plan, and he's doing a severe diet change thing. And he's the only one in the household doing it. And it is nearly impossible for him to make that snack invisible. So sometimes it's environment, sometimes it's the people you're around. We won't get into that right here, but take that cue and make it invisible. Remove it from your life. Remove those cigarettes, remove that food, remove that junk food. I've got nuts in here, I've got water in here, and I've got, did you know Bai tea is full of, did you know it was tea? That BAI drink? Yeah, I didn't know it was tea. It just tastes really good, and it's full of caffeine. So I try not to do caffeine, but I'm back in it quite a bit. But make it invisible. Remove it from there. I have pretty good snacks around my office these days because I'm working on slimming down a little bit. Make it unattractive. Maybe you caught it, but make it unattractive. Connect it to Fat Brian. I'm not attractive. Fat Brian. Okay, I see yummy food. Fat Brian. Make it unattractive. Visualize it. Create it. Make it evil. Response. Make it difficult. Okay, the snacks are up in the kitchen. Yeah, we have kids and we have some sweets. And I do have some at mealtime, and follow those cues of mealtime is the spot for that. Not down here dwelling in my office. And reward, make it unsatisfying. Make the bad habit unsatisfying. So those are the steps of attacking the cue, craving, reward, response, reward steps to break a bad habit. All right, I think we're wrapping up here. Oh yeah, we're going to wrap up with some scripture. I'm not reading it quote for quote, but Paul, one of the biggest writers of the New Testament of the Bible, one of the most famous quotes that I run into all the time. I say this to myself all the time. Paul said it to himself and inscribed it in one of his letters. Why do I do the things I don't want to do and do the things I don't want to do? Why do I do the things I don't want to do and don't do the things I do want to do? I spelled that wrong. And don't do the things I do want to do. And that's part of that decision thing, sucking back and just sucking out the energy to make good decisions. We need to take stuff and automate it and simplify it. We need to protect our brain power for decisions that matter, for that problem that happens once and we need to solve it. If we don't have that energy, we're going to fail on that decision. We're not going to make it right. There's 4 parts on this chapter summary. I normally don't read all of them, but this just really concisely wraps up the chapter. It was a well-written book. This is a great book. Go out and grab Atomic Habits. Just to wrap up, a habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. It is the ultimate purpose of habits is to solve the problems of life with as little energy and effort as possible. A habit can be broken down into a feedback loop that involves 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. The 4 laws of behavior change are a simple set of rules you can use to help build better habits. They are: 1, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying, and then you're going to have a new habit. It only takes time. Thank you for joining me. I know this is a longer one than usual because I prepared a little bit. I read that chapter like 3 or 4 times this week as I was coughing and hey, we made it! I'm not coughing and wheezing. Water. Drink lots of water in my office. Thank you for joining me. Atomic Habits Chapter 3. This is Top of the Morning to Ya, where I come about to share my pillars: God, family, abundant life, adventure, and technology. I look forward to seeing you again soon. If you want to check out more, we've got a YouTube channel and a blog, briansyme.com, where you can see more of the history of Top of the Morning to Ya. Take that, create some good habits, get rid of some bad habits, create a more abundant life, and you